Hello friends, this is Tim Collins coming to you with our weekend word, and today I want to talk about mouse traps. I like this design a lot better than the old ones we used to have, with the spring and the wire, and you always snap your finger trying to set them. Right now, press here, you press it, and you're there. I like to use peanut butter for bait because they can smell it. Anyway, all this to say, several years ago we discovered we had some mice in our garage. And this is probably going to be terribly embarrassing to my wife that I would publish that on, so next week's devotion may be about sleeping on the couch. At any rate, when I discovered we had mouse, me and my cheap self go down to the Everything's a Dollar store and buy a 4-pack of mouse traps for $1, and I set them out, and the next day one of them is tripped and there's nothing there. And I reset it, the next day it's tripped and nothing's there. Reset it, the next day it's tripped and nothing's there. And finally I was in the garage, I heard it trip, and I saw the mouse wiggle out and take off running. The spring was too weak to kill the mouse, but the mouse was running with a limp because it was missing part of a foot and its tail was all crooked. So I went and got a brand name, stronger mouse trap, set it, and sure enough the next day I had it. Well, I looked at this guy, this poor mouse. I started to name him Lucky, but I named him Einstein. He was just, so brilliant. He was missing a foot. His tail had been broken. Even the right side of his head had been, from his eye over, was pretty much smashed in. He had tripped that mouse trap at least 5 times. He had to know it would hurt. Even a mouse ought to be bright enough to know when I go after that peanut butter, it's going to hurt. But it smells so good, and he went after it again. And finally, he went after it one time too many. We're like that a lot of times, aren't we? That temptation. James described the process of temptation like this in James 1:14 and 15. But each one is tempted when, by his own evil desire, he is dragged away and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. We're dragged away by our evil desires, those natural desires that we don't get a handle on. What the King James calls lust, and we tend to think of it in terms of sex, but it can be an uncontrolled desire for anything, food or entertainment or most anything that we just don't get a handle on. And that desire that we don't get a handle on is going to drag us away and cause us to be enticed, and will conceive and give birth to sin, James says. And sin, when it matures, when it is full grown, it always brings forth, gives birth to death. That's always the last part of yielding to temptation. The good news is you don't really have to give in to temptation. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13, no temptation has seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. You don't have to be to give in, to be killed by temptation. Jesus, in fact, told His disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane when they were wanting to sleep and He was wanting to pray, Jesus told His disciples in Matthew 25:41, He said, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. So God provides a way out of temptation, but we resist it by watching, by praying, by being diligent, by being aware it's there. We don't give in to those uncontrolled lusts. We get a handle on it so that we're not consumed. Because if we keep looking, oh, that peanut butter smells so good. Oh, I know it hurt last time, but maybe this time I'll get away with it. And we know it hurts, and every time we do it, it hurts, but we still are drugged away. When sin is full grown, when sin reaches its maturity, it brings forth death. Every time. Don't be that guy. Don't be Mr. Einstein. Go God's way. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you're in church somewhere Sunday spending some quality time with God. God bless you. We love you.